this, if you're watching this video, and if you watched the last video, we went over network services and protocols, which is quite fun. And this one's going to be pretty straightforward. We're just going to go over network command line tools, nothing spectacular, but should be fun. And these tools can be used on either Microsoft or Linux operating systems. And we're actually going to perform various network attacks, but we're going to actually illustrate both lines of the tracks, or sides of the tracks rather. And these commands can vary depending on the type of OS that's being used, right? And these commands are usually executed in the command prompt or PowerShell for Windows OS, and in the Bash shell for Linux in particular, right? So what we're going to do first is actually go over command line networking tools that could be managed using command prompt instead of the graphical user interface or the GUI, right? So we're actually going to start with this particular server, DMO1. So once it loads, we'll be able to get things up and running. So we don't need server manager, not today. So let's do this. We're going to run as administrator naturally, right? So we're going to first run some interface here. Version 4 set. It's not how you spell primary, but nonetheless, how do we got that in there? Now, by executing this command, right, the DNS server IP address configuration for the device was changed. So the GUI can be used actually to achieve the same outcome, but will take a bit more time. But what I want to do now, in the midst of that, is take a look at everything, right? So now the new DNS server IP address that was configured can be seen here, right? Not going to go through it because of the nature of the video. I don't like my videos being too long. But the IP command, config command, is used to determine the IP address configuration of the device. Now I'm gonna ping an IP or ping an address here. All right, let's see. All right, so now the ping, what I just did was the ping command is used to test the connectivity to remote devices on the local network or an external one. Now, this command can be used either using the IP address of the device or the host name. So I'm actually going to ping another device here, which I should get some sort of response. All right, so executing now the ping command with the -t parameter, it's going to send a constant stream of packets to the remote host. Now, you have to manually stop the ping when you do this, and the command used with the -t parameter can be used to test if the remote devices come back online after it's been restarted. There's several other options that are available for the command, but executing ping help can display all of the different options that you can use. I'm actually going to stop this now that we've illustrated that. Now I'm going to do a lookup here. Perfect. Because I didn't have it together, I'm so used to that and other things. There we go. The domain name server for Google. So the nslookup command is used to resolve a host name from an IP address. And then in this example, I just used the IP address was resolved to Google's DNS IP address, right? So now I'm going to use this one here, right? And what the route command does on, at least on a Windows OS, is used to display and change the local routing table of the system. So from the output, there's no persistent local route entries that have been made on the device. So now that we've illustrated that, I'm actually going to do another type of route. So let's do this one. That is definitely not it. I'm going to do mask for the subnet here. Perfect. And now the route command that I just used was used to add a persistent route to another network segment. I'm actually going to use this one again. All right. Now, persistent route to the router was added with that command I just did. Now I'm just going to ping the IP again. Actually, this slight different. Now, for the output, looks like it could be seen that the persistent route to the router was successfully configured, and the device can communicate across the network on a different subnet, right? Right. So now what I did was the address resolution protocol command is used to display the address resolution table of the device. The ARP table just resolves the MAC addresses to IP addresses. So now I'm just going to use, okay, it'll let me. Perfect. So now what the tracer command does is used to determine the route to a specific resource displayed in the number of hops. Now what hops is, it refers to the devices that need to be used to connect to the resource. Now in this scenario, the device PF sense, right here, route is used to connect to the practice lab web O1 device. So I'm actually going to take a look at our host name, right? And which is the one that we're on now, the MO1. Right, as just the, I mean, again, pretty straightforward. Now, similar to a Windows OS, the Linux device can be managed using a command line application. There, the most familiar command line app used on Linux is the Bash shell. So we're actually going to, let's see, open up a terminal here, and let's do if config. Can barely see that. I don't know if I'm going blind or if it's just the way it works. So the if command is used to display the IP address configuration of a specific network adapter on a Linux device, similar to the IP config command in our Windows OS. So now I'm just going to do this one here, right? So it shows the command that could be used to display the IP address configuration of a network adapter, again, on a Linux device similar to the IP config command on Windows. So we can also do an nslookup on this device as well. So pretty much just giving the rundown of the exact same thing that I did on Windows and how it looks and how it's typed in Kali Linux, right? And we can see for this was similar to the command execute on the Windows OS, the nslookup can be used on a Linux system to resolve an IP address to a host name. Now to clear it out, since I didn't go over that particularly in Windows, but it's pretty much the same. But now I'm just going to actually go off script here a bit. All right. So now we see that the dig command in Linux is used to get more information of a DNS host. And these include host addresses, name servers, and other bits of information. And it's normally used to troubleshoot DNS errors, right? And I can do a bit of that with this as well. And it can be used to display the pretty much the network stats for the Linux device. And by executing it with the subtraction I or the minus I parameter, the information of the network interfaces are displayed as well. And I'm actually going to take a look through and do that. All right, perfect. So we see the default, the gen mask, and everything. Now, by executing the netstat command with the minus R parameter, just displays the local routing table of the device. Now, there are several other options that are available for the netstat command, which can be viewed, again, as I mentioned, with the minus help parameter. So I can actually take a look at this host name as well. Okay, which is Kali, just like on the last one, right? And we could do some tcpdump, which I've done a video on before. All right, perfect. Now the tcpdump command is used on Linux devices to capture network traffic. Now the captured traffic can be used for troubleshooting of network issues, and executing the command with the minus uppercase D parameter displays the interfaces that can be used to capture traffic. Right, so if we do something like this here, Perfect. So the network traffic that is traversing across the Linux device is captured using the tcpdump command I just used. Now, this information can be used for, again, troubleshooting network connectivity issues, and we normally would have to stop it manually. The command was executed in conjunction with sudo, which would give it elevated privileges if you aren't already logged in by way of the admin. So I'm going to stop it, and then I'm going to use um, this one here, which I've used and explained in other videos as well. Yeah, I thought I was gonna ask to get a password, but anyway, the nmap command that I just used is used to scan the network for a host on the network, and several other options can be used to scan the network using nmap. For example, if you execute the command with the the minus lowercase s and then uppercase s with no space, parameter will display all the discoverable hosts on the network. I'm actually going to manually stop this, and we're going to do we take the, I don't know if this is the lazy way or I don't know what to call this, but to do that there. And I'm now executing the nmap command with the minus lowercase s, uppercase v parameter that displays the services running on a specific host. And I'm not going to wait too much long for that, but I can do another command. It's going to be nmap top here ports. Then we're going to do 10 ports. Then let's open that up there. Right, so now executing the nmap command with the minus top ports parameter will scan the remote host to determine if the most popular open ports are available, and several other options are available when using the nmap command again to look at additional options. You have different configurations for Cisco as well. You have common Cisco configurations command like show interface, which I've done in a prior video. Show config, which is used on Cisco networking equipment to display startup configuration on a specific device. And the command needs to be used with specific parameters. You got the show route, and you also have telnet. But this brings us to the end of this particular video for network command line tools. We've done a few things very briefly. We executed Windows command line networking tools. We executed Linux command line networking tools as well. And we very briefly went over common Cisco configurations commands as well, which I also have videos on as well. Now, this one was definitely a lot of fun. Well, the next one's going to be even more fun where we go over network analysis software. I'll see you there. You stay curious, stay secure.